Hi there, Carol Sunday here. Today I'll be demonstrating how to work the Picot cast on that I used in my Dancing on Water shawl. And this cast on was made using a knitted cast on and bind off technique, and I'll show you how to do that. Since we're using a knitted cast on technique, we don't need much of a end on our strand. We'll start with a slip knot. Slip that onto our left needle, and that's our first cast on stitch. Now, to make our second stitch, we'll insert the right needle knitwise and knit a stitch without removing the stitch from the left needle. So now we have two stitches, and we'll move the new stitch from the right needle to the left knitwise. Now we have two stitches. And just to talk for a moment about what we mean when we use the term knitwise, when we insert our needles into a stitch and they're both going in the same direction within that stitch, that's a knitwise maneuver. Whether we're going from left to right or right to left, when the needles are in agreement, they're knitwise. When the needles are tip to tip, they're purlwise. And when we slip or move a stitch purlwise from tip to tip, it gets moved without changing its direction at all. But when we move a stitch knitwise, the stitch gets a half of a twist. So to move on, we now have two stitches. We're going to start with 5 cast on stitches, so we're going to cast on 3 more using the knitted cast on method. Knit 1 without removing it from the left stitch, and bring that stitch back to the left needle knitwise. Knit 1 and bring it back knitwise. Knit 1 and bring it back knitwise. And we now have our 5 stitches. So now we'll bind off 2. And I find that my Picot edge is a little tighter if I do the knit stitches for the bind off through their back loops. So I will insert my right needle through the back loop of that first stitch to knit it completely, removing it from the left needle. I'll knit a second stitch through its back loop, and then I'll pass that first stitch over the top of the second. That's 1 stitch bound off. I'll knit another one through its back loop, pass the second one over the first. That's 2 stitches bound off. Now I've got 3 stitches left, and I'm going to move that last stitch back to my left needle knitwise, so it's got a little bit of a twist. Now, for our repeat, we're going to be casting on 6 and binding off 2, and we'll do that several times according to the pattern instructions. So I'll show you how that goes. We'll first insert a needle, knit without removing the stitch from the left needle, and back to the left needle knitwise. We've done this before. Knit and back. Knit and back. Knit and back. Knit and back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Knit and back. And that's 6 stitches casted on. You'll see that there will be 7 stitches on the needle after the little gap made by the Picot bind off, but the first one of those was the last stitch from our bind off. So there will be 6 stitches in addition to that. And now we'll bind off 2. I like to do it through the back loops. 1 knitted, 2 knitted, 1 bound off, another 1 knitted, another 1 bound off, and now we need to move this stitch back to the left needle knitwise. So that's our repeat, and we'll do several of those across the length of the needle until we have worked as many as the pattern instructions call for. And the last thing we'll need to do is cast on 2 more stitches knitwise. That's one, and then back to the left, and then a second one, and back to the left, and that's it. When you're finished with your cast on, you'll see that you have a series of 4 stitches separated by gaps along the length of your needle, and there should be 2 stitches by themselves on the far left and 3 on the far right. So that's it for our cast on. There's a lot more fun ahead. I hope you enjoy your dancing on water.